In this video, we'll write a program that solves a palindrome problem. So first let's understand what a palindrome problem is. A palindrome problem is when you can write a string the same way which is in its original condition when it is reversed. So for instance, if we have a string ABA, we know when we reverse this, it's still the same as ABA. So that means that is a palindrome problem. But if we take ABC and if we reverse that, that becomes CBA. So this is not equal, right? So therefore, this is not a palindrome problem, but rather the first one is a palindrome problem. So that is what a palindrome problem is. So how do we go about solving that? So in order to do that, first let's declare a string variable. So we'll say str and I'm going to get a text from a net which is already a palindrome problem and I'm going to paste it here. Once we have that text, what we go and do is we need to declare a boolean variable. So we'll call a boolean variable and we'll call it is palindrome. And by default, this is not a palindrome problem. Okay. So what do we do now? We need to make sure. So let's say what if a problem is only one character A, all right? Then if you reverse that, then that is still A. So that is already a palindrome problem. So we need to check for that condition as well, right? So let's go and check that. So we say that if the length of our string, right, which is if the string dot length, right, is less than 2, if it's only one character, then we know that is palindrome is equals to true, right? Because if it's one character, obviously that string will be a palindrome problem. But that is only for the first one. But if not, what do we do? So now we need to check whether if this string is a palindrome or not, be it this string or any other string. But for now, let's compare with this string. We can see in this string we have commas, we have semicolons, which can be a problem because if we reverse this, there will never be a case that this will be a palindrome problem. So we need to always avoid this. So how do we go about avoiding this? So before we even go and check for the length, we need to make sure we avoid this. So here we'll be using something called a regular expression. So how do we go about doing this? We'll say string, right? And let's name it maybe a clean string. So a string without a comma, a string without a semicolon, or any non-alphabetic or non-digital values that are there will be removed. So what do? We say we take that string, right? And first of all, let's convert it to a lowercase, right? We'll convert it to a lowercase in case. So why do we need to be a lowercase? You can see this is a capital and this is a small. But still, A is a, be it a capital or not, right? So we want that to be away, right? We don't want one letter to be capital, the other one to be small, then there will always be a problem. That's why we convert it to a lowercase. And then what do? We need to replace everything that is of comma, semi-comma, or anything that is non-alphabetical or non-digital. And then we give it a regular expression. And in this, we go and tell it's like, look, I want avoid everything except for the fact that I want to remove this. So you write that and then you say I don't want to remove A to Z or anything that is capital or anything that is digital, which is from 0 to 9. So if you see anything that is of a sort A to Z in a small letter or A to Z in a capital letter or 0 to 9, then I don't want that to be removed. But if it is anything except for that, all I want you to do is replace it with an empty string. So in this case, what it will do is when it sees that this is a comma, it will literally just come and say, man, won't do anything, just replace with nothing. And then it will continue to say a plan. It saw that it is another comma. It will just go and continue say a kennel. It sees there is a semicolon. It won't do anything. It will just move on and say Panama. This is what the string will look like after we have done this. It saw that, oh, I need to take in a characters, be it capital or small. It accepted that. There was no digit, so it doesn't have to worry. If there was going to be a digit, it was going to go and accept that. So this line just takes this string and removes all the non-alphanumeric characters from it. Okay, and now once we have that, now we need to replace this, right? Instead of using our normal string, we need to use the new string, which is the clean string. And we need to go through its length. Let's copy this. right? Check that length. If that length is less than 2, then you're going to return a true. But if not, what are we going to do? So first we need to make sure we know the starting position, right? We take the starting position and we put it as 0, right? This is our starting index, which is this, right? And then we need to go and take our end index. So our end position will be equals to what? The last length, right? So we need to go and say the clean string dot length -1. Why are we doing -1? Because we need to stop on the last one. We don't want it to be indexed out of bound. Why are we doing this? Because we need to go and compare this A with this A. So what are we doing? Here we have start position. So let's say start position we have it's, what is it? A. Right, in this case small a, because we have done a clean string and we have converted to a lowercase, and we have a n index, or n position is equals to a also. So here what we do is we want to compare this a with this a. Then we move on, we want to compare the next one with the next one. Since I told you it goes and replace everything with a normal one, so we no more have the spaces around it, right? We get rid of all the space, and the final will look like a man, a plan, like that. This is how your string will look like, right? So this is what your end position is, this is what your start position is. So let's move on and see what we do next. So now we need to loop through it. So we say while your start position, right, while your start position is less than your end position, okay, while it's less, what do? We need to check if the clean string that we have, its value, right, it's called char at what, start position, okay, is not equals to the clean string dot char at end position. If this a and this a is not equal, if those are not equal, then you just return to me false, right? But what if they're equal? But then you just return a false. Why is it complaining? Let's go and see. Cannot return a value from a method with a void result. Okay, we don't need to say return false, but rather we just set this palindrome to false, right? Because we're not returning anything. Is palindrome will be equals to false, correct? And then what we do is we simply go and increment the starting position, right? Starting position, and we decrement the end position. End position. Why do we do this step? It's because we compare the first character, which is this, and the last character, which is this. Now we need to go to the next character, which is this and this, right? That's why we increment and we decrement on the end side. So we move on to the next one. That's why we have start position is equal to that and end position is equal to that. Here we checked for start position and end position not equals. What if they're equal? If they're equal, then what do we need? We simply want to say that that is equals to true, correct? So therefore we go and say if that is true, then just return is palindrome is equals to true. The value will become true. And finally, let's go and print that out. So in order to print that, what do? We go and write the condition again. We say if is palindrome, right? If it's true, then say system dot out dot println, and we say this is a palindrome. This is a palindrome. But what if it's not true? Simply copy this, else, and paste it here. This is not a palindrome. So let's go and run this. So once we go and run this, we can see this problem is a palindrome, and indeed it is a palindrome problem. That's what I got from internet, right? But let's make it not a palindrome. Let's say something else, maybe ABC, and let's make it ABC. And if we run this, let's see, not in a debugger mode, I want to just run the normal one, and we can see it says this is a palindrome. So where is the problem? I don't want to cut this video, and let's go through the problem together and see where we made a mistake. We know that is palindrome is true, by default, right? And if we go through this loop, we can see in our while loop, outside the while loop, we have said is palindrome is equals to true, which is not necessary because by default, it is going to be true. If any of the condition is not met, it should be true. So all we need to do is remove this. Once we remove this, the problem will be solved because by default, it is true. And now if I run this program and I say run, it's going to tell me this is not a palindrome problem, which is correct. Let's check it with our original text and see if it still gives us the same answer. So I'm going to take that string and try it again. So let me go and get the string from the net again, and I copy that and I paste it here, and let's run this again. And once we run this, it should give us a palindrome problem. This is a palindrome. So that is how you solve a palindrome problem. And you have seen we made one mistake by putting is palindrome equals to true here, even though by default it is a palindrome here, which is equals to true. So just because of that one mistake, we were able to get a wrong answer. And by removing that, we got a right answer. So thank you very much for watching this video. If you like the video, subscribe to my channel, like and share with your friends. And let me know in the comment box below what kind of videos you'd like to see more. Until next time, stay safe.